Now, the reason why they came to me, even though the doctor said don't do it, because I told them to do your own research. You research it for yourself. You convince yourself that that's something you need to do, and then you stand fast in that decision. In that radical remission book, that's what they said is that you have to take charge of your health. You have to make the decisions. Don't let the oncologist or the radiation oncologist, don't let them make decisions for you. You have to take control. And that's what they did. So she and her significant other did the research. They were convinced and they just blew it off. Now, they didn't reject the treatment that the oncologist was telling them to do. They didn't reject that. They were just saying, I'm going to do this so that I can feel better and get through these side effects. And that's what they're doing. So those are the two things is that I felt like, one, I need to say this, I need to do this in honor of my sister. And two, this patient just brought it to light to me is that patients have to be armed with good information. And that's what this podcast is about. So here's the truth about high dose vitamin C. So there's been over 20 years of research, and I'll tell you how I did this. I asked ChatGTP. If you go to ChatGTP 3.0, it does deep research. So I asked them, I said, I want to do deep research on high dose IV vitamin C. I don't want anything but peer reviewed articles that have been in well respected publications. I don't want any, what some people call, non documented studies. I want the purest studies. What do they say? So there's over 20 plus research studies. There's over 100 scientific papers. And then this is most important, the 30 human studies. And that's what you want to know. How does it work in humans? So there's decades of peer-reviewed study exploring vitamin C's potential in cancer care. There's extensive publications documenting laboratory, animal, and human trials. And then there's clinical trials demonstrating the safety and the potential benefits for cancer patients. The scientific evidence supporting high-dose vitamin C in cancer care is substantial and is growing. Yet this information rarely reaches patients when they need it most because the doctors are unaware of this information. And the reason why they're unaware of it is because there's no pharmaceutical rep coming to their office telling them about the benefits of vitamin C. Because what did I say? You are told what they want you to know, not what you need to know. And this is what you need to know. So they're in vitro studies. That means there's lab studies. And what it shows is selective toxicity. High concentrations of vitamin C's generate something called hydrogen peroxide, which are toxic to cancer cells, but spares normal cells. So hydrogen peroxide, H2O is water, and hydrogen peroxide is H2O2. So instead of having one oxygen, it has two. And when you generate that extra oxygen, it super oxygenates the tissue. And cancers don't like oxygen. All right. So when you are able to give vitamin C, it generates hydrogen peroxide, and that is toxic to the cancer, but it's nourishing to your cells because now you're hyperoxygenated. That's why people who are doing alternative cancer treatments, they do hyperbaric oxygen, where they increase the oxygen in the atmosphere in those tubes, and it increases your oxygenation level, and that helps to kill cancer. So you can do that with vitamin C, or you can do it with hyperbaric oxygen, or you can do it with hydrogen peroxide. In enhanced chemotherapy, studies show that vitamin C enhances the effectiveness of chemotherapy agents, like, and these are big long names of chemotherapy drugs, and I can't even pronounce them. Now, broad application, effective against multiple cancer cell lines, including ovarian and pancreatic, which is the most deadly cancer. That's what Steve Jobs died of. Pancreatic cancer is a tough cancer to fight, but vitamin C can help enhance the chemotherapy and help to enhance your quality of life. Prostate cancer and colon cancer cells. These are some of the most common, and it also helps with breast cancer, even if I didn't say it. So laboratory research consistently demonstrates vitamin C's ability to generate hydrogen peroxide specifically in the tumor microenvironment. It means right around the tumor. And what I say is that vitamin C, it encapsulates that tumor. It makes the cells around it healthier, so it's harder for that cancer cell to invade into that tissue, and it leaves the good cells healthier, and it deteriorates the cancer cells. And this is not just something I've read. This is something I see in my practice all the time. The cancer patients that I have that are either totally alternative or they're using a mix of conventional and alternative, they do better. And they go to their oncologist, and the oncologist pats himself on the back and talks about how well the treatment is working. And I just tell the patient, be quiet, don't say anything, just keep doing what you're doing, because I don't want you to get any negative information to cloud your judgment about what you're doing. All right. So here's how they usually set it up. They do an animal study, all right? And then they give the animal tumor cells. And then they treat it with vitamin C, or they treat it with a combination. And then they look at, hey, what happened to the tumor? Well, you get significant tumor growth reduction in mouse models of pancreatic, liver, prostate, and ovarian cancers, just what we talked about in that previous slide. And you get a synergistic effect when combined with standard chemotherapy and radiation protocols. Now, if you do it in conjunction, what we usually do is people get their chemotherapy 2 days later, they come in and get vitamin C. It helps to clear up their brain fog. It helps with making sure decreases the likelihood that their hair is going to fall out, decreasing the likelihood that they're going to get nausea from the chemotherapy. Another thing that we do, I'm not talking about right here, is we give patients glutathione. Glutathione is an amino acid that is the master detoxifier. So 2 to 3 days after the chemo, we give them the vitamin C and the glutathione so that their liver can detoxify that chemotherapy. Because the longer that chemotherapy stays in the body, it's going to start attacking other fast-growing cells. So chemotherapy kills cells that grow quickly. That's what cancer cells do. But also your hair, it grows quickly. Also, the lining of your gut grows quickly. So the longer the chemotherapy stays there, it's going to start affecting other things. So we can let the chemotherapy go in, do its job. Then we do the vitamin C, helps to maintain the health of the normal cells, give the glutathione, let's get that chemotherapy out of there. It's a simple 1, 2, 3 punch. And I've seen it work. Okay, so I'm not anti-chemo, I'm not anti-radiation, I'm not any of that. But there are things you can do. And in that Radical Remission book, all of the things you can do to help your body control or to take charge of removing that cancer. So use safe administration of pharmacologic doses with no evidence of harm to healthy cells. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't hurt you. It can only help you. So in pancreatic cancer models, the combination of vitamin C with the chemotherapy drug resulted in significantly greater tumor shrinkage than either treatment alone, suggesting complementary mechanisms of action. That's why I told you that even the patients who are doing conventional therapy, if we add vitamin C, they're going to get a better outcome. The chemotherapy is going to work better. They're going to feel better. They're not going to lose their hair. They're not going to have the nausea. Now, I won't say it's 100% that you're not going to, but it's less likely that those side effects are going to be as significant as they would have been if you weren't adding the vitamin C and even considering adding the glutathione. So now this is what really carries a lot of weight in the medical community, is that has it been tested on humans? Now that's what what they're trying to do is to require a natural substance to meet the requirements of a drug. Now, a drug is foreign to the body. When I seldom do now, but when your body is given a drug that it is not familiar with, and to be a drug, it can't be found in nature. So it so that automatically says that it's a foreign substance. And anytime your body has a foreign substance, it is going to try and fight it. It's going to try and get rid of it. And that's the problem. When it's something that is man-made, that is not that it is not seen, you have to do experiments to see how is it going to disrupt the body, because every drug has a series of side effects, because it is going to disrupt some other system, because you're throwing something foreign into a perfectly running system. And so you're going to get side effects. When I give you something like vitamin C, you're not going to get a side effect. You're going to get a benefit. But the medical community wants you to prove that there's no side effects. And in order for that to happen, you have to have millions and sometimes billions of dollars to go through all of these steps to prove that this drug is minimally harmful. Okay. And even when they talk about it, they say this drug can kill you. Vitamin C can't kill you. But the human trials are so hard to do when we're talking about functional medicine and natural resources or natural substances, because nobody's going to pay millions of dollars to prove that vitamin C works, because they can't make money off of it after the proof. But some people who may be self-funded or whatever, they've done these studies. So there's over 30 peer-reviewed human studies published in respected medical journals. Again, this is I only asked ChatGTP, the deep dive, just give me the respected medical journal articles. So mostly are in phase 1 and 2 trials establishing safety and preliminary efficacy, with one recent phase 2 trial in pancreatic cancer. So, but to complete the process, you're supposed to go through this phase 3. And that's all, that's what costs all the money. And that's why you don't see a lot of phase 3 trials. But the key outcomes in just the preliminary ones is that they got improved quality of life scores, reduced the chemotherapy side effects, some evidence of longer time to relapse. So it expanded the time. If you have a recurring cancer with like pancreatic and ovarian, it's very hard to cure. But we were able to stretch out the time before the recurrence came. And it also trends toward improved survival in specific cancers. And so that's why I'm saying it cannot hurt you. And it can only improve your quality of life. And it may help you it may give you more time to understand what that cancer is trying to tell you. So you can change your life, you can change your habits, and you can change your mind. And when I did the interview with Tia, who was on the episode with, we talked about radical remission, because she had a radical remission of a triple negative cancer,